Could you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Karl from Underworld here in Amsterdam. I'm very hungry and tired and I want a cup of coffee now, please. Thank you. Hello, Mum.
You're in touring in Holland now. You played a couple of gigs. Did you enjoy them?
Yes, I did, yeah. I mean, they've all been quite unusual because mostly the kinds of venues that we've been playing are used to putting on traditional bands. And I think this is a transitional phase that some places are going through now, realising I think that there are more and more bands available that play a kind of a club type vibe. So it's very unusual for us, you know.
Don't you think it's strange that like clubs like Paradiso, which are normally like a guitar band focused, are almost forced to like put in dance acts, because dance is so popular and it's always, well, up to now it's kind of neglected by the media. What do you think of that?
I think it's indicative of the way that kind of band type culture has gone in the last 10 years. For the most part, it just hasn't moved on. It really hasn't offered the kind of level of entertainment that the rave scene and the club scene offers to people. I mean, it's a brilliant night out to anybody that hasn't gone to it. I mean, I was converted a long time ago. I was always completely into bands, but now I find it so hard to go and see a band when it's just the same kind of formula over and over again in terms of the way it's presented, and it costs so much money. You get more for your money when you go to a club anyway. A better sound system as well.
So you mean dance is so popular because it's a better night out?
Yeah, I really think so. And not only that, it's the whole ego trip of bands as well. It's like I'm really sick of seeing the same kind of posing, the same kind of posturing. There are very few originals in that scene. I mean, there aren't many Iggy Pops in the world, you know? Do you know what I mean? Miles Davis and people like that. There really aren't that many original people. So sometimes it's better that we have faceless people that are just putting out good music, are putting all their effort into making good music and not so much effort into posing and growing lots of hair, you know.
Until now, dance music was always like 20 to 30 to 45 minutes per song. Yeah. And now you kind of changed that for the first time. You became an act live, really, so a band on stage, not just one guy. Are your songs becoming shorter? Are you going to issue singles?
No, the songs are getting longer. I mean, the latest one that we've a mix that we've done of Dark and Long is 20 minutes long, and I mean we really like to work in long forms. 3 minutes is just too short. You just sort of woken up before it's all over, you know.
The problem for media is that dance music is you need to get into the groove, so you gotta play this music for like 20-30 minutes. So most people don't play it on the radio or issue it on television.
Well, that's a sign of the fact that radio and television needs to change with the times. I mean, we just won't do it. We just won't comply with these ridiculous, outmoded ideas. When people ask us, as if they ask so many bands to cut it and shape it in a way that fits radio and fits the television. Music isn't about that. Music is about making whatever you feel inside you, expressing it. And the media really should accommodate that. We shouldn't be accommodating for an easy way of presenting the music. That's not exciting. I mean, consequently, people get bored with listening to the same old format. Everything's 3.5 minutes long. It's just so boring, you know. And then you know, somebody comes along, New Order comes along with Blue Monday, and people play it, you know, and it's 7-8 minutes long. And I think it's really bad for music, for the media to keep making these ridiculous impositions that just are making music boring. You know, just let musicians do what they want to do and accommodate them. You know, because radio and TV will become more exciting for it. You know, if you're bored and you want to do an edit, that's fine. That's getting creative. But I think to ask the artist to accommodate this kind of easy system, this boxing of music into easy compartments, is very bad for the future of music. You know, I just think enjoy it, go with the flow and see what kind of shape your radio program or your TV show takes. It'll be way more exciting because then you won't look like all the other TV shows and sound like all the other radio shows. You know.
You guys
Preaching to the converted here. Preaching to the converted.
you guys really, I mentioned before, you got a band on stage. You act like a band, you look like a band. It's special. To me, it's kind of consolidated, mixed with a house live.
Yeah.
How did you come up with that?
Again, it's the same thing, not putting any constraints on us, just saying, look, we're just going to put all these things together and see what shape they take afterwards. It's the same way that we make our music, our art, anything that we assemble. We just bring all these parts together, like building a car or something, building a piece of sculpture, and you bring all these parts and you say, I like this and I like this, and we'll stick this with this and this, and I really like the shape of it, and what is it? And you go, I don't know, but it's 20 minutes long, or it sounds like this, or it's got these things attached to the ends of it that kind of whizzle around with furry bits on them. And that's that, in that way that we can stay entertained, you know, and enjoy ourselves.
As long as it's got a groove.
Yeah, as long as it's got a groove, that's fine by me.
When you read Enemy and Melody Maker and those kind of magazines, they're always looking for the new salvation for British pop music. To me, it seems that Britain's got so many popular dance acts, which they don't look at it at all.
That's changing, very much so. I mean, the Melody Maker, I think, realised that they were losing a lot of readers because they weren't getting behind the dance scene. And I think when we featured on the front cover of the Melody Maker was the first time that they'd made a consolidated effort to get into the dance scene. It was easy for them to use us because we're this kind of bridging between the two scenes. But the Enemy now is getting behind it a lot more now. I just think it's taken so long. I don't know why it's taken so long for the media to realise it's not going to go away. It's going to get bigger and it's going to get more exciting, more diverse. It's just going to become more interesting for musicians to get involved in. And so it is changing. I mean, I hope they still do cover the guitar bands and the folk bands and the jazz bands. I really do, because then it keeps it diverse. It would be horrible if it was just a dance scene. That would be really boring. We'd probably go off and play nose flute music or something.
Half an hour long.
Half an hour long of nose flute music.
You say it's going to change. It's not going to go away. Could you explain to me? I always thought when house started, oh wow, this is a revival of disco, but now in a more hipper and trendier way. So I think it will go away in 2 years, and then they officially buried house in Amsterdam in the Roxy Club. But then it went on and on and on. And I was like, how come?
Because it's exciting, because it keeps evolving, it keeps changing.
But heavy metal is exciting as well to the fans.
Heavy metal, one of the problems with the band culture is that it evolves so slowly, because it needs to involve so many processes, you know, like at least with dance music, you can afford the technology to make your own music, so you can change it and keep manipulating it as you want to. You can sell it out of the back of your car, you can sell it in specialist shops, and you can make fine money. With the band culture, first of all, it's really expensive to rehearse, to look after a band, to have vans, all those things, and then you usually get sucked into this ridiculous corporate rubbish, you know, which just drags the life out of you. So and slows the process down. So in many respects, I think a lot of bands probably can't move as fast as they would because they're getting sucked into a really slow system. So that's what I like about the dance scene, is that it can move as fast as it wants to move, because we all can afford the technology or at least most of us can afford the technology to make records whenever we want and sounding like whatever we want.
So basically, house, what it is right now, is the punk of the 90s?
I think it is. I really do think it is. I think if the punks had the facilities that we have today, they probably wouldn't have spent so much time posturing and saying how they were going to change the world and do nothing about it except become boring old farts and pop stars. I think the punks really let us down. I really do. You know, I mean, let's face it. Most of the punks are in positions of authority now and are making a pretty damn good mess of it.
The government is impeding laws on raves and house parties, and they wanted to stop the mass gatherings. Doesn't it affect you?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just makes us all stronger. For a start, that's a sign of the success of it, the fact that it is a growing strength. This is where it has its advantage over punk, because it's not just all media hype, it just really is that big. It really is tens of thousands of people gathering together to make massive collections of happy, dancing people who don't want to go with the mainstream, who don't want to sign their lives away to some stupid corporate, record company. And that's frightening, because it means you can't control it. It means that unless you increase the levies on technology, which I'm sure they will eventually, and increase the prices of blank tapes and computer discs, that you're really not going to destroy this thing, because it's got its own momentum that is outside of the outside of any kind of control, really. So I think that's probably the biggest reason why they're trying to stop it. It's doing its own thing and it doesn't give a damn,
Massive drug abuse is just an excuse for stopping these parties?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the other thing is, you don't get fights, you don't get really bad scenes. That's all the alcohol. That's all that rubbish, It's alcohol that makes people fight. Most of the drugs that people are taking, I don't condone the taking of drugs, I mean, I don't do any myself. Other people insist that I do, but I'm not condoning it. But I mean, I've never ever seen a fight on the drugs that these people are taking. They're making them love one another, or go to sleep. So like, that's not going to cause any grief to anybody. I mean, if anything, it just highlights the problem that the governments have no control over the sale of drugs, which is really where they should be centering their attention, not on spoiling people's fun. That's ridiculous, They should be controlling the drug dealers, getting a hold of that, and they're just failing miserably, so they're taking it out on the people that are having fun. But why is it that governments seem to be about suppression of positiveness? Why do they suppress our positive nature? What's that about? That seems to be such a bad way of acting. That's a really miserable future, I think. If you start suppressing people's fun and their sense of enjoyment and their sense of creativity, then I think you've got a pretty boring future, and a dangerous one as well, which is you're just containing an energy that is going to explode. That seems a fairly irresponsible position for a government to take, to me.
Your shows went pretty well in Holland, good reviews, and your CD is welcomed very positively. Did you expect that success?
No, not at all. I mean, again, we just make the music that we think is the best we can make, and that really turns us on. Darren will test records out in the clubs, and so that we know that we're getting a good response off the music. So then we'll put it out, and after it's out, then it's a big mystery to us. It's great when you turn up to places. I mean, we are turning up now to places to way more people than we used to when we had a major record deal. And so I won't harp on about the major deals, but
you're really independent. I mean, you've got this independent spirit.
Oh yeah, totally. So I mean, something's working. Something's connecting with people. I don't know what it is, and I don't want to know what it is, because I don't want to make it into a little box that we sell, like a little formula. But no, it's great. I'm very happy.